Someone by the name of Andrew Lohse has been making news recently because he was a former student at Dartmouth University. And while he was a student there, he decided to join a fraternity known as SAE. While he was there, apparently he was the victim of severe hazing, right? But he was all in. He was in favor of it until he got suspended from the university for having cocaine possession. And then later on, he threw a chair or something at a security guard near campus, and he got arrested for that as well. So people are making the argument that he's just a bitter man, and that's why he's throwing the university and the fraternity under the bus. However, he does give very graphic details into how he was hazed, how SAE hazes pledges, and there are two other members of his fraternity who have come forward and confirmed that these types of incidents do occur.
Right.
Now, Rolling Stone did an excellent piece on this, detailing the hazing incidents, and I want to give you an example of how horrible some of the situations were. According to Rolling Stone, they would beat their pledges, place them in dog crates while brothers vomited on them, or ordered its new members to crawl between the legs of a line of naked brothers with, you know, their ball sacks flapping on their heads, require its pledges to have sex with a frozen turkey. Now, this isn't all SAE, okay? These are numerous fraternities within Dartmouth and Ivy League schools.
And of course, some of the fraternities deny that. They're like, no, we didn't all have ball sacks on our heads. Okay, but a lot of this is corroborated by several different sources, especially the stuff at SAE with the vomiting on one another and sitting in a pool of vomit, feces, semen, et cetera, that Andrew Lohse talks about. And look, he does seem disgruntled, there's no question about that, but it is backed up by several sources. Do I believe that at least some of this happens based on this very good report, based on stuff I've heard? Yeah, I believe it. And what's disturbing is the people that this university produces.
Right. Now, these are really horrible situations, right? But the majority of people who enter these fraternities and go through the hazing and then later on do the hazing themselves are people who make it to Goldman Sachs, that work on Wall Street, that are part of the 1%. And it's all about the culture that you see on campus and how it translates to real life when they actually become adults, right? It kind of explains a lot when it comes to the personalities that you see on Wall Street.
Yeah, so let me be clear. Now, I'm going to list you some Dartmouth grads. It doesn't mean that they all went through this. They didn't all have sex with a frozen turkey, etc., right? But it is an interesting culture that Dartmouth is in. And so, you know, there's some good guys and there's some bad guys. Tim Geithner, Hank Paulson, the two last Treasury secretaries, the guys who did the bank bailouts. Hey, we're all bros here. Everything's going to work out, okay? If you're in the club, everybody's a bro, and you get all the money, okay? They both went to Dartmouth. Now, there's some good guys who went to Dartmouth, like Robert Reich, right? But, you know, the former CEO of, the CEO of GE, eBay, Freddie Mac, former chairman of the Carlyle Group, which is probably the most connected group in D.C., and runs a lot of money. And these guys are a fraternity of sorts. And if they grew up in this cesspool culture, it makes you concerned. Like I said, some great guys come out of Dartmouth, like Robert Reich. It doesn't mean that they all went through it, but it's bothersome. And look, it's not just the fraternity culture, it's also how they treat women, it's also how they treat protesters, etc. Now, I've got more on that, but you do too, yes.
Yeah, so when it comes to treating women, I remember a few months ago, Cenk, we were talking about sexual assault on Ivy League campuses. And it's become a real problem because administrators are known for brushing it under the rug. But now we actually have some numbers for you that I think are important to look at. So between 2008 and 2010, and these are the college's official statistics, at Dartmouth, there were about 15 sexual assaults out of 6,000 students. At Brown, there were 8 out of 8,500 students. At Harvard, there were 21 out of 21,000 students. That makes sense. More students, more sexual assaults, I guess. However, 95% of all sexual assault among college students are never reported. Now, when you look at some of the quotes from females that went to Dartmouth, it's, you know, really depressing, okay? Because one of the students talked to Rolling Stone, and she said, look, if we go to the parties and we drink the beer, it generally means you're going to hook up with him afterwards, meaning members of the frats. And if you don't like it, fuck you, don't drink our beer.
God, man, what a horrible, you want to talk about a cesspool, man. so if you drink my beer, you have to have sex with me. Now, of course, again, not every guy, not every frat, etc. But this is the impression that they leave women with. And what's the result? Look at the numbers. You know, statistically speaking, there's a far greater rate of sexual assault at Dartmouth. And you know, you get the culture that you put in. You put in a culture, you get out of culture, right? Mm-hmm. And you might say, hey, look, 15. But you know what? As Anna pointed out, the story points out, 95% aren't even reported. So it's obviously disturbing. And then, of course, there's how they treat protesters, too. Now, look, this applies, unfortunately, to a lot of the Ivy Leagues. In Yale, they had this chant. Remember that we covered this story. And they went in front of the Women's Center, and a bunch of frat kids chanted, "No means yes, yes means anal." Now, look, some might find that funny if you're in a frat and you're really drunk. I get it, right? But it's a terrible idea to do that in front of the Women's Center, and it shows great disrespect. And you're at Yale. My God, man, what are you doing? And finally, my favorite quote of all time, because it is the most ironic chant ever. They go to the Occupy protest, and they got an Occupy vigil at Dartmouth, which I'm impressed by that they have that. And some of these guys go and heckle them, and they chant, "Faggots, occupy my asshole." Think about it.